Abuja, Nigeria's federal capital, has for the past few days been under a siege of sorts without actually having a physical army surrounding it. For residents of the city, it's more of a siege of the mind, and it all began with this week's terror alert issued on the city by the US Department of State. The United Kingdom and a plethora of other foreign missions have followed suit and have advised their non-emergency staff to shelve any plans to travel to Abuja and about 13 states across Nigeria. In fact, reports have it that the initial alert issued by the State Department has been upgraded to level 4, which represents the highest possible state of alert under normal conditions. Well, joining us now to explain what all of this entails is Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu, a retired Air Force officer, security consultant, and senior military advisor in the Lake Chad region. Good morning, Group Captain. Good to have you join us on the morning show today.
Good morning to you viewers. Good morning, everybody.
All right. Good morning. Thank you very much. Well, let's start this way. How worried should Nigerians be given what has happened from what we've been discussing so far? I'm sure you've been following. It's not just the United States that is advising our citizens to be wary of Abuja and indeed to move, if possible. The UK, Australia, Germany has joined, and a few other countries. Are we under siege? Is Abuja about to be attacked? Is there a failure of intelligence within the Nigerian security apparatus? Do you have an idea of how dire the situation could be, given the seriousness that the Americans are attaching to it?
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
First, in analyzing this issue in a very objective manner, you have to look at it from the point of view of the Americans or other countries that have, released such security alerts. That is on the one hand. On the other hand, you have to look at the interest of Nigeria as the country against whom, or I say about whom, this security alerts, on which a country that will bear the consequences. Let me start with the Americans, because it's very important to understand how Americans or the other agencies work. In understanding this, we might be able to lower the panic of Nigerians and understand where the Americans are coming from. The United States government believe they have a duty to inform all Americans first, whether embassy staff, whether Americans that are living in other countries, here I'm talking generally, to give them what in their own opinion, in their own analysis, is a heightened security alert. So what do? The Department of State, that is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in our own case, releases what they call travel advisory for all countries of the world. All countries of the world. In releasing this travel advisory, they decide whether there is danger to Americans or American interests in a particular country. And based on what they think is their duty, if you check the American website, they will say the function or the role of the embassy in any country is to protect American citizens and American interests in that particular country. Here we're talking of Nigeria. If they believe there is need to inform their citizens based on their own analysis, not based on the analysis of the host country, it's very important to understand that. Then they will release such information to their citizens. They may release it publicly, like they did this time around. We started picking these things on Twitter and the rest. At other times, they may decide, the Americans who are living in a country, they subscribe to a WhatsApp group or something like that, and then they can release the information of that. They can do it two ways, either releasing it social media or releasing it personally to Americans who have inscribed. This time around, they decided to release it, and that's why we got our first information. Now, in making this analysis, they look at certain factors or certain risk indicators in each country. These indicators include security issues, crime, terrorism, kidnapping, even health, environmental issues, natural disasters, short-term events like elections. they look at these things and decide based on these happenings, vis-a-vis what they consider. I always say they, I underline that. What they consider is the capacity of that country to confront those threats. When they make their analysis, now they give this alert, which is, in 4 levels. Level 1, that is a level where they are advising there is almost no danger, but just exercise normal precaution. It's very good to emphasize. So that level 1, even that level 1 has implications, because it means there is no country or no part of the world or never any time that you can get 100% security clearance. But level 1 is the lowest. The next level is level 2. That is exercise heightened precautions. And with each of these levels, they will also advise their citizens what they are supposed to do corresponding to that level. The next level is level 3, which is where Nigeria is. Generally, I want to correct the impression. It's not the whole Nigeria that is level 4. Level 3, that is to say, reconsider travel. In this case, they are talking not only of their citizens that are in the country, but also those that might be in the process of traveling to that particular country. Level 3, that is where Nigeria is. And then the final one is level 4, which is the highest. And they will say, do not travel. Do not travel is the advice they will give their American citizens. However, Americans been priding themselves in freedom or whatever. Even at the level 4, that is not to say the government of America will arrest any American traveling to that country. In fact, to my knowledge, there is only one country in the world where the American government might try to not to allow you to travel. That is North Korea. Apart from North Korea, even despite the level 4, and America is free to leave. But what they owe, they have special obligations to their staff in the embassy. When the strait leads to level 3 or level 4, they have the obligation to order what is called obligatory evacuation. You are working for us in the embassy staff, you must move out. Level 2 up to level 3, it is voluntary evacuation. They can advise you that, please, based on what you see, we advise you to move out. So this is the issue. Now, having said that, it is very important for Nigerians to understand that right now, when we are talking of level 3, it is not only Nigeria that's level 3. Again, back to what you said at the beginning. There are areas, level 3 is the general classification of Nigeria. But within Nigeria also, they pick some specific areas or states where they put on level 4. Unfortunately, Abuja is inside. You can cite areas in the northeast. I think most of the states in the northeast are there. Kogi State and the coastal areas. They picked certain areas and put them on level 4. That is to say, even while a country will have a general classification, certain areas could have higher or even not lower, but it could be a higher classification than the general classification of the country. So Nigeria as a country is on level 3 if you check the Department of State security classification. However, just like what I like the statement, out of all the statements that came out, the one that Mr. President released yesterday through Shehu is the most comprehensive. Because I want us to understand, with the background I gave, you cannot stop the Americans from advising their citizens or their interests about the security in any situation. However, as they are doing the duty of protecting their own citizens, any government should also be doing the duty of cooling the tension and preventing panic to its own citizens. This advice series will continue to come, no matter. Level 3 now is not only Nigeria. You have United Arab Emirates, you have Niger, you have Egypt, you have Ethiopia, you have Cote d'Ivoire, and so on and so forth. There are even countries that are at level 4 as a country. You have Myanmar, you have South Sudan, you have Iran, you have Iraq, you have North Korea, you have Mali, you have Russia. Now, even countries that we could say are allies with the United States, like UK, like Germany, like Netherlands, they are in level 2. That is to say, they advise their citizens to exercise heightened precaution when traveling to these countries. Again, in making this analysis, the United States government is very clear. Bilateral relationship, economic relationship, diplomatic relationship, political relationship has no bearing. It has no bearing whatsoever. They believe they take these decisions purely based on security exigencies. And who do they consult? They are also very clear. They are not obligated to contact the country security agencies. Apart from, of course, they normally do a desk research. They will read the reports from police commands, from DSS to arrive. But it is not compulsory for them to accept. They have their own independent experts who look at all these indices I said about crime, about terrorism, and then they give these ratings. This will continue. It is very good to understand that. Now, on the side of our country, Nigeria, not only Nigeria, any country of which embassies give a heightened security alert, of course, it's a concern. Because it's a concern politically, it's a concern economically, in every aspect of national life it will concern. Even at our own local level, those of us that are living in Abuja, now, of course, there is no government will try to to calm people, but people can take individual action. We have seen people closing schools. As I come to do studio, I normally visit this hotel. I have seen the heightened security with dogs sniffing, opening of boots and the right. So definitely, again, unfortunately, all over the world, the Americans, by their economic reach, by their interest internationally, even if it is not written, it is taken that when they make a declaration concerning security, people normally, countries, when I say people, I mean countries, I mean organizations, they normally believe that the Americans have the resources, have the reach, have the capacity to know what they are saying. So what do? People play safe. Most embassies actually do not have the capacity that the American embassy has. So what do? They follow where the American embassy points. Again, you cannot stop that. But again, back to our country, it is the duty of the government to explain this thing. Just like I said, the good statement I see so far from the government is the one released yesterday. Because just like I said here, President Buhari through Garba Shehu tried to show that it is not only Nigeria that is having this security classification. So I have listed countries. I have listed countries which you could say, even the UK.
Excuse me, Group Captain,
yes,
but isn't that deflecting the point if you are saying that we are not alone in the alerts that America is sounding, that there are other countries who are on level 3 or level 4? How does that, reassure Nigerians that Abuja will not, in the few days to come or few weeks to come, be attacked? Yes, Garba Shehu's statement might have, given some ray of hope, but in terms of readiness, where do you think we are, and how are we coordinating with the Americans who are giving this alert?
Thank you very much. Please, as a security expert, it will be irresponsible of me to imply or to even suggest that we should discard what the Americans or anybody says. The issue of this security alert, what I want you to understand, it is not an exact science. You could issue security alerts 10 times. 9 out of those 10 times, nothing will happen. But that's not the concern of the security personnel. Every time a security alert is this thing, the security personnel must take note of it, must act. And we are all living witnesses. Even as the government is, trying to not to raise panic among citizens, it is not to say the government is doing. Anybody moving around has seen heightened security awareness. So you must. That is, unfortunately, that is the job of the security man. Even 9 out of 10 doesn't come, or 10 times nothing happens. When they raise the alert on the 11, you still have to take this thing. So please, with due respect, it is not to say that I am downplaying the seriousness, because I don't know the indices they do. I just gave you a general idea. However, it is good to understand, because I heard people saying, why didn't the Americans meet the Nigerian government? Why didn't do the same thing in their country? Why, in fact, even people are bringing the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. Why couldn't they see that? That is, I want people to understand that the Americans have a duty to Americans and Americans distant. The government of the country also here in Nigeria have a duty to calm nerves, but not to downplay. But the only thing is to understand, I don't think it is all Nigerians that know that there are other countries that have level 3 classification. I do not believe it is all Nigerians that know that there are countries that even have level 4 higher than Nigeria. But it's good to understand. And it is also good to understand this thing has nothing to do with bilateral, with economic. The Americans believe they protect their citizens. If, based on their alert, it affects a country economically or politically or in whatever way, the Americans, well, I will say practically they owe no apology to that. Their main duty is their citizens. Having said that, again, The Americans, maybe since the September 11, they are also, to be fair, they are not also soft on their own security, even within the Americans, within the American territory. The only thing is that for other countries outside American continental region, it is the Department of State, that is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that gives this alert. But back home in Nigeria, in the US, they also have the Department of Homeland Security. That one also issues alert. The current alert on America says that America remains in a heightened threat environment.
Right,
they said several high-profile attacks have highlighted the dynamic and complex nature of the environment. This is the report they wrote on themselves, but that is for their home consumption.
Got
it is what the Department of Homeland Security said about the American security there. Now, there's nothing wrong with Nigeria also, or any other country, using this analysis from the National Terrorism Advisory System of the Americans to also advise your citizens going to America. It is completely within your, within your, within your rights as a country. So that is the point. America will try to protect citizens. Every country will try to protect citizens. Like
Captain
I said, you can see that even their allies, Germany, France, and the UK, they are on that level too.
Yeah, Captain Shehu, firstly, many thanks for the clarification around the security classifications and levels, because that's been quite blurry for the public out there. But then again, let's move to another blurry area. When it comes to the coordination and communication around this threat, what optics are being projected for the Nigerian intelligence and security apparatus here? And is there an overreaction on the part of the Nigerian authorities in wanting to take the lead on the communication here? I believe you've alluded to it a bit earlier, but in detail, I think what Steve was also trying to get out of you earlier is that what is the situation when it comes to that reaction towards it? Are we even ready if that happens in spite of other countries' levels?
Well, levels of readiness, again, differ from country to country. It differs from your financial resources, what you budget for your security, the training you give to your security. So I would say in all these aspects, Nigeria is not at zero. Nigeria has its own capacity. However, like I said, the capacity of countries, varies between the resources and the training they have. So that is not to say, even though we are not at the ground level or ground zero, as far as readiness is concerned, but a lot of improvement can still be done. And countries improve their security based on these things. Now, I want you to understand, when embassies like the American or the UK do this thing, they also tap from information they get from the DSS, from the military, from the police. They tap from this and they go back. The only thing is that I think they do a more rigorous work than we do. Again, they are better for us at the communication. We seem to hide everything.
Yes.
And in hiding everything, sometimes we even raise the fear of people. If you see, since this thing broke, we have actually been reacting to what the Americans did. The statement that was released yesterday on 28th, this saga started on 23rd. The government should have acted faster. And with due respect, the people that are speaking for the government, every aspect of national life has its own peculiarities. If you have a spokesman, his skills as a media man will come to the fore. But also his knowledge of security issues, when the matter is security, is very important. Because the terminology, the way he explains it, is very, very important. Even if you have a purely somebody who is a journalist or this thing, I think he should converse with security experts on how he should tailor their language. Unfortunately, again, I'm very frank here, the only good message I saw coming out was the message that was released yesterday on 28, because it tried to assure Nigerians that, look, I have some aspect of the speech here, the president saying these countries, they generally, issue these travel advisories. It's not all Nigerians that know that. If you do that, and you show that country, you are not downplaying the threat. But what we are saying is that, and again, I like one word why they said this, in fact, the American embassy, as far as they're concerned, this advice is for their citizens, first of all. If any other person who's not a Nigerian, a US citizen benefits from it, all good and fine. But the purpose is American citizens and American interests. It is good to understand that. So when we're doing our messaging, it is very important to put these nuances together. It is very important, to go through these explanations so that people understand what is this thing. And also to explain to people these classifications are dynamic. I can assure you, without being even predicting, if you continue to see have violence in with politicians towards the election, you will see a similar security alert like this one.
All right.
The Americans believe they should give the latest information to their citizens. They will never shy away from that.
All right, Group Captain. Just two questions to expand the argument and clarify issues. A number of newspapers are reporting this morning that banks, worship centers, markets, stalls, and the like are deserted in Abuja, and that special forces are joining the existing security apparatus just to show up Nigeria's, readiness in case anything happens. For how long do you think that this will happen if America does not, bring down the level in which they're classifying Nigeria? For how long are we likely to have, schools, worship centers, and banks, etc., shut in Abuja? And if we continue to do that, don't you think that the terrorists are ab initio gaining something already? Because part of what they are dealing with is to send panic, is fear mongering, and they will have succeeded as it is at the moment if people are already afraid because of what is happening. And secondly, will you in any way connect what is happening to the incident of July when the Kuje prison attack happened? Up till today, we still have more than 400 inmates, some of them terrorists, still roaming the streets, maybe in Abuja, maybe in other parts of the country. Is there a connection between what happened in July and what the Americans are afraid about, which has led to what is happening now? Heightened terror alert everywhere, especially for Abuja.
Thank you very much. Again, like I said, because of our lethargy in releasing information, right now you are aware that there are stories, I would say stories, because I am not really clear myself about the picture, that the DSS, whether in conjunction with the Americans or without the Americans, raided some estates in Abuja and arrested some people. With due respect, I'm happy to understand, to see that you realize that these security levels could go up, they could go down. It's a continuous process. For the American system, when they give a level 3 or level 4, minimum, within 6 weeks, they will review it based on what's available. They may decide to go up, they may decide to go down. We are hoping that it comes down. Now, as to what we are seeing in Nigeria, again, like I said, for the federal government or any government that you see the South Africans, they have also made a statement, is a balance between not neglecting what this embassy said and at the same time also not creating too much panic. It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act. You want to achieve the two. So definitely, in trying to show that you are keeping, again, that's what Mr. President said. He said, remain vigilant and alert. Part of remaining vigilant and alert is to raise the security. So definitely we'll see more presence of people. And remember, if a terrorist is going to attack, unfortunately, this, whether we say soft targets or civilian-centric targets, that is what he's going to look for. He doesn't going to attack a place with 2 or 3 people, if at all. He will look for public places. What are public places? Churches, mosques, schools, markets, supermarkets. These are areas that a terrorist would like. So definitely, even while not trying to create fear, again, the government must be seen to have increased security on those issues. Now, you talk about Kuje, you talked about Owo. Again, when the Americans or each embassies give their security level, there is a section where they say summary of the situation. When you check that, these people have gone back as far back as events that happened 6 or 7 months back, including the Owo church attack, including the escape of prisoners from Kuje. All to them, they put all these things in building their picture, and their experts come out with the analysis which they are giving us. So for the government, and like I said, it's a balancing act. And for the agencies or the embassies that are doing this thing, they go back down the timeline and they add all these things together, and then they come out with a picture. So unfortunately, while trying to raise security, again, there must be additional presence of security agents, which people will see. But at the same time, again, you are struggling not to raise panic. But like I said, usually the Americans or whatsoever, they normally review these things at least within 6 months or is it 6 weeks or 6 months,
weeks.
They will look at the situation and then decide whether to review it upwards or downwards.
All right, Group Captain, just a quick one before we let you go. When you step out of the Arise TV studio now and you drive out back to your place, I know that as a security person, you probably will have your own personal security, but will you be afraid? Will you have a cause to, be vigilant and be looking, behind you, above your shoulders, etc. As an individual, how will you feel when you're driving out of the studios today?
I would be alert and vigilant. And that's what I would advise every citizen to do. Vigilance is looking where I'm going. As I'm driving, I'm looking far ahead. I'm also looking, using my rear mirror to look at behind. Is somebody following me? Am I seeing a suspicion? Am I seeing something like a mob or people there? Then I start checking my routes. So I have to be, vigilance has to be there. And vigilance should be a 24/7 every time for every security person. Vigilance for yourself. Vigilance so that when you see something, you inform the security agencies. But again, it's not vigilance to be passing, fake, because since this thing started, there's been a lot of fake information. Some people have been seen, some motorcycles have been seen, Abuja is about to fall. That is not what a responsible citizen should be doing. But vigilance to protect yourself. Vigilance also, if you see something, you inform the security. Vigilance when you go home. And again, carry this thing, necessary going out, and then you watch the security as it develops. If we are lucky, the situation calms down. Both the foreign agencies and also the Nigerian security agencies, you will see them, they will also lower. But it's a cycle again, I want people to remember. It's a cycle that will continue coming and going. Even, hopefully, like in most cases, nothing will happen out of this thing. But that does not mean if tomorrow there's an security alert, it's not an excuse to say, that is how in ending October, they say so, but nothing happened. No, that's not the security mind.
All right.
The security mind will follow. In any case, the heightened security also has its own, this thing. Because as you see, when this arrest was done, that was around 26 or 27, the American raised it higher.
Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu, we unfortunately have run out of time and will not be able to end that thought. We want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.